Yes, welcome back to the Sports Show. Still plenty to come on the show. Time to turn our attention to the Southern Footy League and the President. Craig Warmen's been good enough to join us again. Craig, how are you?
Yeah, good afternoon, boys. How are we?
Very well indeed. Now, big week coming up, mate. First round in the Southern Footy League.
Mate, have we got a cracker. Absolute cracker round coming up. We've got some really big games. We've got last year's preliminary finalists playing off against each other, so that'll be a really good start of the season.
All right, Noarlunga and Brighton. It's Noarlunga and Brighton, isn't it?
Yeah.
Playing at Old Noarlunga, will they get a decent crowd down there?
Mate, they'll get a really good crowd down there. Both clubs were very well supported within our league. Noarlunga 2 years ago won the flag with that kick after the siren, beating Ranella. So they're up and about again, so looking for a bit of revenge, seeing they didn't make the grand final last year.
All right, Ranella, of course, did win the grand final last year, and they are up against Flagstaff Hill at Flagstaff. What are you predicting?
Mate, you probably have to go with Ranella, especially seeing they've had a really good introduction to the season, winning the Champions League at Thabit Noble a few weeks ago, where it was a combination of all the premiers played off. They played off in that and actually won that, so that was a really good hit out for them. They've had a really good lead into the season. Flagstaff Hill, minor premiers last year, got kicked out in the final, so there's a little bit of niggle there. They were 1-1 during the season, but Ranella took the points in the preliminary final, of course, then went on and won the grand final.
And we've got Aldinga up against O'Sullivan Beach and Happy Valley up against Marion. How do you see those two games?
It'll be a real tussle between Aldinga and O'Sullivan's Beach, both looking to really improve from their positions over the last couple of years. Aldinga at home, I think, might get the chocolates. So Happy Valley, Marion. Again, Marion have recruited pretty well, so I believe also Happy Valley as well. So, look, I think Happy Valley, even though it's being played at Marion, I think the Vikings for me in that one.
Mate, I cruise past the Marion ground because it's on a route that I take from time to time to basketball stadiums, obviously. They've got a fantastic setup. Before we cover the other games, who do you reckon's got the best setup at the moment in the Southern Footy League?
You're on a hiding to nothing here.
Yeah.
Because whoever you pick, there's going to be nine clubs who say, hey.
Sorry, I've led you in it, maybe they're getting better.
Yeah.
But right now, you know, the best club rooms, best oval at the moment.
Oh, look, you certainly have to look at Marion, but Ranella have got really good club rooms. Hackham have got good club rooms. They've taken over looking after the whole community complex there. But then you go down to we talked last week about the country atmosphere. Yep. Nothing better than going down to Old Noarlunga at the base of the Onkaparinga River there. They're pretty good as well.
All right, Morphett Vale are up against Hackham at Morphett Vale. What's going to happen there?
I think Morphett Vale will be too strong there.
This time of the year is a great time of the year because I'm going to have a go again at this guy later in the program about some of the performances of AFL clubs 2 rounds into a season. It's amazing, isn't it? You start to...
It's my fault, is it?
It will be, but I'll get back to that. It's amazing this time of year, though. There's a whole lot of hope. There's been a whole lot of recruiting, a whole lot of hard work, and it gets put to the test this week. And all of a sudden, the picture becomes a little bit more transparent over this week and the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, very much so. And again, we're no different to any other league. Everyone starts off on an even foot. Yeah. Bang, away we go. So, mate, really exciting. We've got a lot of new coaches into the league this year. Blokes of pretty good ilk, like Barry Pillmore, who coached Wollonga for quite a few years and took them to 5 premierships in a row. He's back at his beloved Noarlunga, where he started his footy. Gary Cameron, from ex-South Adelaide player, he coached at McLaren last year. He's taken over the leadership role at Morphett Vale. So, really good sprinkling of good coaches coming in and also quality players.
All right, let's get on to the last couple, mate. Morphettville Park up against Cove at Morphettville Park. What are you thinking? Oh,
mate, last year they only played once and it finished in a draw.
Oh, really?
So
wow.
There's a little bit of there's been a little bit of angst between those two clubs as well. So in the last 10 games, probably Morphy Park's over the last couple of years won the last 3, but before that it was all Cove. So at the pasty at Morphett Vale, as they call the oval, because it's a bit like Prospect Oval. It's a bit funny shaped. People don't know. You know all about funny shapes.
I made a career out of it.
So we're still talking about footy?
At home, Morphy Park, I think.
All right, this is the interesting one because it's the match of the day. It'll be broadcast through 91.1 Tribe FM. We'll come back to that in a minute. But it's between Christie's and Port Noarlunga, but they call it the Battle of the Sock, Poppy. It's been going on for 30 years. Can you just let the viewers know the Battle of the Sock, how that came about?
I've never heard of it.
No, well, I hadn't up until last. I hadn't up until last year, and when we were doing the radio gig, they actually gave us a bit more information. But apparently, about 30 years ago, they played off in a grand final, and Christie's Beach beat Port Noarlunga.
Okay.
And the Port Noarlunga blokes were really dirty about it, so they went and stole a pair of socks out of the Christie's Beach change rooms.
Down that way, don't they like burn down club rooms? Like do something really aggressive? Steal a pair of socks?
Steal a pair of socks, and of course now...
You can come up with, I mean, I remember the West Adelaide cut down a goalpost. You know, I mean...
That was curls.
Well, that was curls, yeah.
but
stole a pair of socks.
You know, the stinky old sweaty socks and whatever. Well, for the first 20 odd years, that sock never got washed, and it just got handed back after each derby game. So you can imagine after 20 years, it's not all that. Yeah, not all that. So someone actually did the right thing and actually now got it framed, and so the legendary sock,
Battle of the
Sock was born.
Okay, fair enough.
You know how you have incentives to win a game. You know,
That isn't one of them.
that's what I'm thinking. I think, well, there's $1 on. Look, if we win this
but
one,
you know what,
we get the 20-year-old sock that hasn't been washed.
But as silly as it sounds, look at one of the great sporting contests of all time, the Ashes.
Yep.
A burnt bar, like, you know, really. But the fact is, the legend, the time makes it legendary.
It does.
And who knows? Okay, 30 years on, I still think it's silly. But in 70 years' time,
yeah, I like tradition. I think it's a good story. You know, if we have a bit of history that comes to it, I'm with you. It's like, well, we want to win that. You know,
the sock.
Yeah. Okay. I hadn't heard of it. Mate, tell us a little bit about 91.1 Tribe FM broadcasting for the Southern Footy League.
Yeah, look, it's something the league initiated last year. We've set up a mobile van, so we actually go and pick a game. And to be fair to all of our clubs, in the first 14 rounds of the season, everybody will get a home game. Then we look at games for leading into finals, etc., etc. So, look, it's been a really good partnership with Tribe FM. We're continuing it this year and hopefully into the future.
So what's the scope of the broadcast? How far does it go? Is it a narrow cast or does it go...
No. When we actually go to air, so we're on air from 1:30, so that's an hour before our game.
Yep.
In that time, we get the president or the coach or a player who's injured come in and talk about both sides. So we get both sides in that particular hour. Then we do the broadcast of the game. We do a final wrap-up, etc., etc. But when we actually go to air at 1:30, it's actually live streamed on the internet.
Oh, fantastic.
So we've had people who've been overseas.
Anywhere in the world, exactly. Wow, great.
We've had people from Germany who've rung us in the van and said, great call.
Who has won that sock?
Yeah, who's won the sock, yes.
So, look, it's been a really big initiative for the Southern Footy League, so we're pretty proud of
it's pretty progressive. Pretty progressive because there wouldn't be too many leagues at that level that are offering those sort of initiatives to the sponsors, to the clubs, to the players themselves. That's great. Well done.
Yeah, no, I said it's I know Great Southern have been doing it for a few years. There are, I noticed with interest, after speaking to a few people in the amateur league over the last 12 months, they're actually doing a broadcast game as well now. So
you're the forerunners.
maybe we started the ball rolling. And, but for community sport in general, not just football, we also do a sports show on the Friday night on the radio from 5 until 7:30. So any local sports in the southern area who want to get involved, contact Tribe and we'll get to talk about your sport on our radio station.
Wow, great.
All right, great concept, Craig. Let me ask you this, mate. If you're a new viewer to go to a game, you want to see it, and it's not outside your realm of getting there, first 7 games, Southern Footy League, which game would you go to? If I was taking a mate and I wanted to get him involved, there's 3 good ones that you've touched on, 2 probably finalists playing off, a draw from last year to be settled, and the sock. Which one do I go to?
Mate, if you were coming down, I'd suggest you go and have a look at Ranella and Flagstaff Hill.
That's the one?
That's the one.
You go and look at that one because you can listen to Christie's and Port Noarlunga anyway.
You can on your because we've got a little phone app. You can dial in a phone app, so you can listen to that one. But as I said, Flagstaff and Ranella, there's a little bit of animosity. Well, again, they both 1-1 last year, and. At the end of the day, Flagstaff were minor premiers, but Ranella took out the chocolates.
You know what, and you forget how enjoyable a day at country or amateur league or whatever level of football you enjoy is, because we get used to going to somewhere in a sanitised stadium like Adelaide Oval, when you get back to being able to barrack, drink a beer and eat a hot dog on the boundary line and scream out for your team, it's fantastic. So I'd encourage everyone to pick a game and go and get involved this week.
Mate, come on down.
I will. I'll be there. I'll be there.
All right, time for us to go to a break. Craig, thanks again for coming in. Stay with us.
Pleasure.
Still plenty to come on the show. Back in a moment.